Hi everyone, there's a little breeze blowing, so apologies in advance for any sound issues. Carl says he's going to get me a little furry mic so I can do these videos, but it all costs money. So buy me a coffee, binlabour.com, whatever, link below. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Andy Burnham, which just riles me up thinking about it. It does look increasingly likely that we're going to have a Gordon Brown type coronation in a few weeks. There's still a small chance of a dark horse entering the fray. The only name going about at the moment is Alistair Cairns, this guy that pretty much no one's ever heard of. And when they polled Labour members recently, I think he got a 0% or 1%, something really, really dire. So even if he managed to get the nominations, which no one's sure really how high the level of support for Burnham is. Could someone else come in and get those 81 nominations? We don't know. So yeah, Alistair Cairns might come in, and that'll prolong this and quite possibly, do a little bit more damage to Labour in the process, as people throw mud at each other. But coronation won't be too bad either, because it's going to look quite bad, because obviously a lot of these Labour politicians were demanding an immediate general election when Truss came in and when Sunak came in, so it's do we want a general election right away? I'm not sure. I think we need to see a little bit more of Burnham in action. What is he going to do? If he's smart, he'll start pulling back on some of this nanny state stuff that everyone hates. The digital ID. If he pulls that out, that is going to go down really well. And just do some smart things, some things that are popular with people that used to vote Labour. The kinds of people that voted Labour in Makerfield recently, whereas they wouldn't normally have voted Labour. They would have voted for Reform or some party on the right, but they voted Labour and gave him quite a nice majority because they detested Starmer so much. Now, we all detest Starmer, of course. He's a vile globalist puppet, as is Andy Burnham. The difference between them, I think, and this is what makes Burnham so dangerous, is that Burnham has a little bit of charisma. There's no getting away from that. And all you need is a little bit of charisma compared to Keir Starmer, because Starmer, as I've said before, has the charisma of a house brick. So we saw on Thursday, it was a good indicator because we had 23 council by-elections, and they were in various parts of the country, very different parts of the country, south of England, South Wales, North Wales, the Midlands, Scotland. There were, it was a good marker, and we are a little bit concerned that there was a little bit of a not big bounce, but there was a bounce. Now, we're not going to call it the Burnham bounce because the guy's not in place yet. I think it's more like we're just happy to see the back of Starmer bounce, really. That's what it was. But they still had a net loss. Out of those 23 seats, Labour had a net loss of 3 seats. But the crucial difference is their vote share went up in several places, they gained seats and they held seats. This is something that hasn't been seen for 18 months or so. So something's happened since the preceding week, and that difference is Starmer's resigned and Burnham's obviously coming in. And the thing that riles me up about Burnham, this man of the people thing is, look at me, I'm so casual, walking down the street with my jacket, I don't wear collars and ties, it's just, absolute nonsense. We had this with Starmer, my father was a toolmaker, my mother was a nurse, or whatever he calls them, daddy, We've had it before, and we're going to have it again with Burnham. It's like, look at me, I'm one of you. I'm just an ordinary guy, come from Liverpool, but I haven't got an accent. He hasn't got an accent because he was raised in a Cheshire village. Frauds. I got called a class traitor on X recently. By one of these people. A class traitor, as if, socialists own the working classes, you are hereby duty bound to vote Labour, 100 years ago, the foundation of the party, at the behest of the proletariat, that party's long gone. All these people that are, taking the mickey out of people, working class people who are concerned about, immigration and stuff that affects them directly, because these are the people that live in the towns and cities affected by these things, and these people come along and they have the audacity to call us gammon and bigots and all those names. And, I'm a class traitor because I do not follow the socialist doctrine, right? And the people that speak down to you like this, and they speak down to you, they are very rarely ever working class themselves. They are not proles. They are bourgeois, middle class people who probably haven't had a proper job, like Andy Burnham. And look at what pops up in your feeds on Facebook. Look at your Facebook feed. You probably follow, like I do, groups and pages that are overwhelmingly or exclusively conservative right, libertarian right, and yet on your Facebook feeds, what do you get? You get left-wing guff all the time. But look at it before you cross it out. Look at it. I absolutely love the regular pictures that pop up from these little middle class protests with the refugees welcome placards as well. I absolutely love it, because those people are all middle class people that haven't had proper jobs, probably overwhelmingly don't live in areas affected by mass immigration, and they are talking down to you and me and people like us that are concerned about issues that affect us directly. Andy Burnham, who has never had a proper job, after he left school, went to university, as do all Labour politicians these days. Then it straight into the Labour Party, getting all these cushy little advisor roles before he became an MP. Never had a proper job in his life. Just like Karl Marx. Farage has got more of a common touch than Andy Burnham, and no one's pretending that Nigel Farage is working class. During the Make a Feel campaign, Burnham went into a boozer, and it was completely stage managed, so there was no awkward moments. Because let's be honest, if someone like Burnham or Starmer walked into a pub, an ordinary pub with ordinary people, there would be a backlash from someone. I mean, remember when Starmer went to that pub in Bristol during the scamdemic and the guy tried to physically throw him out? You know, things like that can happen to these people and they can't walk into our places anymore. So they're the real class traitors, if you like, because they've ditched the proletariat. So Nigel Farage can walk into a pub and connect with people because he speaks the language, the concerns that we have. And Burnham goes into a pub in Makerfield. And it was a la-di-da pub, by the way. You can always tell the la-di-da pubs from the spit and sawdust places. It's a la-di-da place. There was no one in there, no customers. He only spoke to the bar staff. That was the whole shtick. He spoke to the bar staff and the people in the kitchen or whatever. I mean, yeah, completely stage managed. Like probably Labour Party members as well. Like I said, it was a la-di-da pub. A working class boozer knows that Labour doesn't represent us anymore. Absolutely not. He's an opportunist. He's an ultra narcissist. He absolutely adores himself. You can see that. It's written all over his face. Every time he rocks up somewhere and he speaks and he holds out his arms like he's the Messiah. And some Labour MPs think that he is the Messiah. They think that he's going to come and he's going to save their jobs. That's all they're worried about, you know. Forget the ones that are looking for cabinet positions and all that, you know. That's, you know, you look and you see that it's obviously going to be Lucy Powell, old dog whistle's going to be there, Lisa Nandy, Rayner probably, you know, all the Greater Manchester crowd are going to be there, and possibly, you know, as a thank you to others for not standing against him, you know, Mahmood, Streeting, they'll probably be in there. So most of your 200 MPs that are posing for selfies with Andy Burnham and singing his praises and all the rest of it, that is about keeping their places on the gravy train, on the Westminster gravy train. That's all they're concerned about. And Burnham or no Burnham, most of them are going to lose their seats at the next election. You know, he can be smart and he can probably save a few, but a lot of them MPs are gone. You know, look at the maths, look at all the parties, look at the Muslim independents, look at the way people, certain communities are voting now. They've lost the white working class. They've lost the Muslims. It's going to be really difficult for people like Wes Streeting, Jess Phillips, people like that. They're gone at the next election. Ed Miliband, gone. You know, so yeah, they think that he's the Messiah and he holds out his arms like he's come to save everybody. It's not going to happen. But he is dangerous. He is dangerous and he's a threat, and we didn't want him. We didn't want him to win in Makerfield, but obviously people detest Starmer so much that they were willing to give Burnham backing just to get Starmer out. And if we'd have kept Starmer in, you know, just for as long as possible, the damage that would have been done to a party that he's killing. If Burnham had lost, we'd have got a leadership contest. Perhaps would Streeting have had the numbers? He claimed to have the numbers. Did he have the numbers? Someone would have stood. If he'd have stood, then, you know, Carnes, maybe, I don't know, Rayner, Miliband, someone else would have stood. But everyone's standing aside for Burnham at the moment. So it is going to be almost certainly a coronation in a few weeks' time. And we're going to find out what kind of PM Andy Burnham's going to be. Is he going to be clever, or is he going to be more of the same? Is it going to be more of the, you know, the World Economic Forum direction of digital ID and digital money and all the rest of it? Or is he going to pull back from that like Blair was forced to? Remember, Blair wanted all these things in, wanted us to have ID cards and devices in our cars and all sorts of manner of, you know, ways of monitoring and controlling people. But he had to row back on that because we, the people, put pressure on the government, and we can do that again, and we're doing it, and we've got to keep doing it, because we cannot have a Britain where the populace is controlled through digital means and we have no freedom or privacy from the government. We cannot live like that. That is not what our forefathers fought for. That's not the life that they fought for. We've got to stop it, and we're going to see if Burnham's just going to carry on with that, whether he's going to roll back on it and then bring it in later, which obviously it's always going to be pushed as long as these puppets are in power. And that's why we have got to bring this two-party system, this protection racket, this two-party protection racket, we've got to bring it down. And it is coming down. So, that's all I've got for today. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.